Hi, Herman.
You weren't here for that.
Hi, Herman.
Well, it's 7 o'clock p.m. and I hereby call the town of James Island regular meeting to order. On the agenda, we have a roll call, so I'll ask next you call the roll. I guess this is a holdover from our online meetings.
Councilman Bowles,
Present.
Councilwoman Leon. Here. Councilman Middleton.
Here.
Councilman Holloman.
Thanks.
Mayor Wilson.
Here, the next item on the agenda is our public hearing for our budget ordinance. We have anyone signed up to speak? Okay, I hereby call that public hearing closed, there being no one who has signed up to speak. Next, we move on to public comment, and we do have someone who is here to speak on for public comment. Is Van Horn.
Thank you, Council and Mayor, for your time tonight. I'm here to talk about the topic of wireless safety in cell towers in residential areas in James Island. And my name is Allison Van Horn. I'm a parent too, and I've been a resident of James Island for almost 20 years. I appreciate the time to get this dialogue going, but at first I'm going to assume that most of us have never thought about wireless safety that are in this room. I know I didn't. I just wanted to share a little overview of concerns. Most of us assume that government safety testing is happening. It is not. The last test was in 1996. That was with one antenna at a distance for a set time for about 30 minutes. A lot has changed considering one cell phone has 5 to 6 mini antennas in it. There's been nothing since, and it just is eerily similar to some industries like tobacco that just doesn't make any sense. That hasn't been studied from a health perspective. There have been over 10,000 independent studies in the meantime on wireless technology, and more that continue to emerge showing negative biological impact. There have been studies showing studies showing incidences of cancer rates to be higher in a quarter-mile radius around a cell tower. This would be of high concern for such a small community like James Island. I'm sure we all have noticed there are more and more towers popping up. Existing towers are having more and more infrastructure built onto them. We are adding to the 2G, 3G, 4G, and coming soon 5G. None of the previous networks are going away. We're just building on top of them. So these towers are increasing in strength. Obviously, cancer is concerning, but there's also links to more subtle biological impact like headaches, insomnia, tinnitus, cognitive impairment, ADD, and anxiety. Wireless technology is microwave technology, and we all know that concentrated microwaves in a household appliance can boil water or cook a potato. We should be able to at least consider being cautious about potential issues with unshielded radiating microwaves in our living environment. Another point of concern I wanted to share is that once a wireless company has been given permit to install a tower, they are then given free rein to add panels, double or quadruple the size of the tower, add wavelengths like 5G, 6G, 7G, increase the amperage or power without any notice to a city, a school, the public, no one. Human health concerns are obviously a top priority, but there's also property value concerns, aesthetic concerns, and environmental concerns. If you'd like to see some more details on all of these, they are on a website that a group has put together called Stop 5G Charleston. Real estate research industry, real estate industry research indicates that over 90% of home buyers and renters are less interested in properties near cell towers or antennas. An article published by the Appraisal Journal found that prices dropped 20% for a property that is located near a cell tower or antenna. That's very concerning. Bottom line tonight is that the group, which is Charleston Coalition for Wireless Safety Standards, I'm a part of that group, as is Karen Beard, who spoke, I believe, last week to some of them. She was supposed to be here tonight and did email in some notes that either I can read or they were supposed to be right for her. The bottom line tonight is we wanted to discuss a small cell antenna ordinance, which would be in addition to the current existing code for macro cell towers.
That's your 3 minutes. You can wrap up your thoughts.
Sure. One more point. Sometimes people assume that cell towers are the only way to bring faster wireless internet capabilities like 5G. This is not true. Fiber optic cable is already linking together towers and deliver technology directly into most buildings. And it's faster, it's more stable, it's more secure. My children have been plugging into our Ethernet cord and they're like, Mom, this is great. So there's no fluctuation in internet. It's better. It's the best option, and we want to know people know that it's available and running and out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, could I ask a question?
There's no objection.
Yeah, I just wanted you to repeat the name of the website that you talked about, because I didn't catch it.
Stop 5G Charleston.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And then Mrs. Beard, who is supposed to be here tonight, I don't know who she emailed her comments to. So has that been?
It's been distributed.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, you can reach Karen or I through that website. She gets emails that way, but we'll be in touch. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. So next we have our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So,
Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That passes. If there's no objection, we'll move to the Environmental Beautification Committee report.
thank you, Mayor.
There are none? Here, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Amy Ball, who is the chair of our James Island Pride Citizens Committee, to make the Community Hero Award for 2020.
Thank you. Whereas the town of James Island is a municipality dedicated to the beautification and preservation of our island's environment. And whereas James Island Pride is a citizens committee sponsored by the town of James Island that serves all the citizens of James Island. And whereas James Island Pride makes special efforts to recognize individuals who demonstrate evidence of exceptional volunteer activity in the areas of leadership, community service, and in mobilizing the generations by contributing to youth and adults working together in partnership within our community. Whereas the citizens of our country were faced with hardship and challenge as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and essential workers courageously enabled our lives to continue. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Town Council of the Town of James Island, South Carolina, does hereby recognize as community heroes all essential workers who selflessly provided their service to James Islanders. These essential workers included healthcare workers, EMTs, police, fire, teachers, solid waste, and wastewater workers. Many of these essential workers are our friends and neighbors on James Island. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess that the town council is going to approve that. Is there a motion in favor? You're, that is.
Yeah, there's a motion.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Would you like to finish your report now, or go ahead and postpone it?
Yeah, I can postpone it till later, the rest of it, I don't want to take away from the importance of this award. What I'd like to do though is have everybody sign a nice copy of the award, and I have a frame to pop it into, we didn't have, workers here to present it to. I suppose we could have had, Herman and Chris come up and do a stand-in for that.
Well, I also think our public works staff.
Absolutely, there it
And
is.
even our administrative staff.
That's right.
They all work throughout the, COVID-19.
But thanks, everybody, for everything that you've done. It was a tough time and we're coming out of it now. All right, thank you.
All right, so let's go on to, information reports on my report now.
That's all, classes on. Okay, lots was February. I'm just gonna bring up a few things that, look a little different this time. For example, under, legal professional, that's September through February. Under public works, groundskeeping, $3,500 of that is to the arborist. Under code and safety, under ISP program and supplies, $3,400 of that was vehicle usage, September to December. And $2,700 was for support and licensing of the LPR. History Council, $500 was a high school cemetery event. Under Tree Council, for the first time, we paid interns, and there was, we paid the arborists for some training. Let's see. Under Highway Circle drainage improvements, $6,000 was Stantec for drainage assessment. Hospitality was February. $7,900 from last month was Tactic Study for the Festival of Lights. Will be reimbursed. There's a couple more of these, but will be reimbursed for a large percentage of that. Also, under the James Island Arts and Cultural Center, $10,000 was for BC3 to do the Colton.
Any questions, for that? Meryl?
I'm so sorry, I do. James Island Arts and Cultural Center. What, do you read that, please?
The $10,500 was for BC3, and they do the technical telephone, internet, that all that work.
Most of that was the other cable that they installed throughout the building. Okay, thank you.
All right, if there are no further questions, then we'll go to the administrator's report. Ashley?
Yes, good evening. Sorry I was lost earlier, but, we are allowed only two right now. I don't know why it wasn't working earlier. And, you know, something for us to think about and that I'm working on, you know, one of the reasons we didn't have a Zoom option for this is because right now it's just so clunky, the hybrid meeting, and if someone is to, you know or think they can participate via Zoom, I want to make sure that you all can hear them, they can hear you, and I'm on this advisory council with BC3, and there's a lot of municipalities that kind of sit in on that and talking about solutions, because we're all in the same boat as far as that goes, and audio is a big thing, so I think it was, City of Decatur had installed, some microphones from the ceiling, and that has helped, so just kind of looking for some solutions like that, so we can maybe continue on with that, Zoom function as well, so. Other than that, so we did receive our permit, from DOT for Bill's Bluff Phase 3. That took about a year, so glad we finally got that one. included a picture of the North Dallas Hazard Mitigation Project, but it, looks great. Beautiful piece of property, and I know that neighborhood will enjoy, and we're close to closing out that project. We were awarded our card grant, Brantley Park, small one, $5,250. We are, Maryland, and I, working with Charleston County and the Municipal Association on this business license standardization, and I included a memo for you all, kind of an overview of that process. That basically the law was passed last year that gives a standard time throughout the state for when businesses need to renew their license. Now move to April 30th when they're due. It's also standardized rate classes, forms, and it also gives businesses an online portal where they can pay their license. And that's really helpful for the transient businesses. They can still pay here, renew in Charleston County, but it just gives them another option. So we'll be working on that transition. We'll have to pass an ordinance, and we'll have to do that by the end of this year, and then we'll work with them on the transition, because there will be a little bit of enabling, I guess, as far as making sure it's revenue neutral for us. And then our next quarterly intergovernmental council is scheduled for next Wednesday, 7 p.m. And then we also have an in-person intergovernmental is Zoom. And then Wednesday the 28th at 6 p.m. we have a loss and tax workshop, as well as a workshop to discuss our cost sharing agreement with KC. And that is Wednesday the 28th. I think that is all I have.
Any questions for Ashley?
For the hardware for the hybrid Zoom in-person meeting, to be able to use any of the COVID money. So I know that one of the authorized uses they put in there had to do with like access to Wi-Fi or something like that. That's the part
The
that
broadband infrastructure.
so
Certainly
I
something
don't
we
know if
look
that
into.
would work exactly.
We were able to get reimbursed for all of our Zoom expenses, last, I think it was between March of last year and December. I submitted a reimbursement for, one since January, and they were denied. They're not reimbursing those anymore. But with this new pot of money, I'm not sure that would be.
I have a question.
Yes. Councilman, no.
Thank you. For the park grant awarded to you, Brantley Park Phase 1 improvements, what is that your heart for a specific thing? What can we use that money for? And is it contingent upon us giving other money in order to get this grant?
It's not, but it is a cost share, so it was, I think we have to spend at least $1,300 to get the, it's a very small percentage. And it is for, specifically listed in the grant was, minimal parking, improvements, trail access, and demolition of the dock.
I have a question also. And this has to do with the business license fees. I know that the recent issue of MASC talked about the rebalancing of that. Is that going to affect our current budget discussion at all with respect to how we calculate the business license fees?
No, it shouldn't affect our budget and revenue at all.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the purpose of some of this. And really, I don't think that's just from our last meeting around Charleston County. I don't think that part of it is going to affect us much at all, because we don't have any manufacturing.
Okay.
Seems like some of the rate class switches were more for the larger industries.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? All right, bring that. Let's go to the public works report, Mark.
Good evening, everyone. All right, there were 3 new requests for service in March. 2 were drainage related. Staff is responding to all requests. Staff met with the contractor to install the fencing at 670 North Stiles, which was awesome. Staff made a presentation on local jurisdictions working together on stormwater issues at the first quarter SCASM meeting at South Carolina Association of Stormwater Managers. Staff got the tree survey intern started on Fort Johnson Road. I have in here today, they reached Champagne Lane there at Honeywell. So, staff participated in a webinar by National Weather Service on severe weather, which was expected, which caused several meetings to be postponed that month. Staff participated in a hybrid neighborhood council meeting, also the BCD COG Stormwater Committee meeting. And we met with residents on Lagata Road to explain the sidewalk plans, and staff received training on the new R2 GPS device for asset management. Staff cleaned 5 signs in March and installed 3 new stop signs, filled 9 potholes with 8 bags of material, and cut vegetation out of the right of way to improve driver vision in several locations. I also wanted to mention, we've been getting calls, y'all will probably get calls too. Why are there markings on the pavement on my street? The inspectors for Charleston County are going around and checking quantities for next year's resurfacing program. So you'll see like a line with a number like 100, 200, 300, and they're just checking how much asphalt's going to be needed for the, when it goes out to bid. So that's all it is, doesn't mean anything.
Any questions for Mark?
There are some stakes, pink flags on Fox Road. There's a survey around there. For the last week.
Is it Foxcroft and Stillwater, that this little section is that we're gonna add in?
That's regarded as still water. It's that little section, it's like 1 yard.
I'm sorry, I asked the surveyor that was in front of my home, and he said he was looking at doing, easements and right of ways for power lines, for the bearing of the power lines.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
So,
but the main, it's our project.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, next, we will go to the Island Sheriff's Patrol report.
There you go. Hey, council, how y'all doing? Drew, Sergeant Martin, some of y'all don't know me enough. Sergeant James said he apologized, couldn't be here, so sitting next to us, yeah. Basically had a couple weeks ago, the liquor store, Wally Road, on the Chick-fil-A, right across the street, a little shopping center, had a break in there. The suspect has been identified. There's outstanding warrants for him. So basically everything's been quiet, a little quiet for a while, because our usual cast of characters are most of them are in jail. So everything's kind of quiet. So that's exciting. Thank you.
That's what's good news.
Good.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, oh, yes, please.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few things that I have specific for me. It doesn't include me assisting our patrol division, because everybody knows we all higher. So far, from April 1st until now, I've made 1 registered level arrest, resulted in a tasing incident. The guy assaulted me twice, and I had to tase him, take him into custody. I've stopped 14 cars that resulted in 2 citations, 12 warnings. I've done 3 reports so far. I've personally responded to 28 calls for service from the 1st up until today. I've done 2 collision reports, and we helped the older gentleman that lives over here who did not have access to a phone. That Robin made aware to me that he had to hop on his way to the town hall and try and call 911 because he needed help. So we made sure he got access to a phone now, so if he needs help, he can call 911.
Any questions? Well, thank you very much. We appreciate all your work for us. All right, so next we'll go to request for approval. First is the award of the Grand Lake Park Phase 1 contract. Actually,
Yes, okay, we, received 8 good bids, Sperry wasn't too terrible on them, and the low bid was, a good bit below our estimate, which we had budgeted $185,000. I did have one misstep in the memo, it actually, what staff is requesting is to approve the low bid ES integrated, but accepting the add alternate 1, not 2. The 1 is the demolition of the dock. 2 was deducting out the trail. So it would be adding alternate 1, and that total is $151,590.
well, is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion to approve for discussion.
Discussion.
Okay, all right, any other questions or discussion? Okay,
Yes, will the city be, pitching in on this, improvement project?
I don't believe so. No. Our agreement is that the city's contribution was part of their greenbelt money held us by the land, and the town is responsible for basically creating a park and managing it.
I have a question. So last time I looked at Brantley Park, I looked it up on it was, we weren't listed as the owners of the Charleston. Am I mistaken?
The land there is on title, in the title of the city of Charleston. So they contributed approximately half, a little bit less than half the money to purchase it. That was their contribution. In exchange, they wanted title, but then we get to use the property as we see fit. And so, as part, consistent with Green Back development requirements, that's the agreement. So no, I do not anticipate that they would be paying any part of this money.
Would they be willing to put us on the title? So it would be jointly owned between Town of James Island and the City of Charleston?
I really don't know, but I don't understand. I don't, you would have to ask the city council. I think that's something that the city council has to approve. I'm not sure what benefits us of having a joint title of the properties. But I can't really answer for you.
I personally would feel better with the township's on sitting the money if we is partially owned.
I understand. I don't, as I say, that having any part of the title of the property will give us no additional rights than we have already. And, we cannot sell the property, they can't sell the property. That, where it's under easement with Greenbelt. So both of us have used this money to have a park. I cannot really explain why the city's legal department insisted on being the owners. I mean, I can tell you what they said, it doesn't make sense. What they said was that if the town were to own that property or have some claim to it, we could use that to, for annexation purposes. And unfortunately, that's not true. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But that was the city's lawyer's argument, and rather than try to prove that doesn't make any sense, that it's the park is under City of Charleston jurisdiction, it's within the boundaries. And so who owns it has no effect on our ability to use that to the maximum future further properties. So that didn't make sense, but that's what they insisted on. And I did, know, it rubbed me the wrong way, that there's this crazy argument being made. But I believe that, to move forward with this project, it required approval by city council. And, I did discuss it with, Councilwoman, Jackson, who's the person pushing forward through the city at the time. And, she did not consider that an important concern, but she also felt that trying to fight that at city council would be difficult. And that, the members of city council would listen to their lawyers and vote it down. That was her explanation of the situation. And so it seemed to me that, in this situation, the official title of the property is not a similar situation to a private property situation, private property. Because it's neither of our private property, it is devoted to the use of the public park. And it is true that, always, this park will have, signage noting that Charleston County asset sales tax, providing funding to buy the land, and that this is a joint project of the town of James Island because they contribute that money. But what we get is that it's our part to manage as we see fit. So it is true that, it's under city jurisdiction and there are regulatory requirements in the city, but we are not going back to city council every time and saying, well, should we have park bench here? Here's our plan, you need to approve them too. They don't approve our plans in that sense. It doesn't go to city council at all, or the mayor, or any part of their government. So it's our part to manage, but the other side of that coin is we're using our hospitality tax funds to pay for that. And, they're, having them pay for part of it might be good, but then just understand if they pay for half of it, everything we do, we go through these, city councils, whatever their parks committee is, and have to be voted on by the entire city council. As it is, we make the, it comes to us, our staff brings proposals to this council and then we approve them. Now, the city of Charleston does have regulations for any development project. And so we do go through that process. It's not a political process going through town council. And so I think it's well worthwhile. I know some things very likely that they're going to be interested in getting, a joint tenancy. Though, when I say, well, why not? I don't understand why they were, wanted to have any ownership at all and what difference it makes to them. There doesn't seem to be any sensible approach, but again, the argument they made was what I was told by Carol is that city legal says that having the town own this property might have some significance for the town's plans to annex future further territory. And furthermore, looking at the map, I'm not sure what territory you can actually annex with that property. So it just didn't add in, but that's the argument.
So from a legal standpoint, who has the liability of the land? If the city's still the owner and it's park, it would be their liability for things that happen in the park.
The agreement we signed, we're liable for it. It's part of our agreement, so we manage it, we're liable for it. And as it would be more or less like we have a current, long-term lease on it, but that's not really what we have. We have agreement. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I will say, and maybe both could attest to this, that if somebody sues, they're gonna sue us both. If someone sues, they're gonna sue us both,
Don't the insurance company sort it out.
because they are technically, property owner.
I have a question.
Right?
Does council rule?
Sorry, good. I don't know if I was going to say anything else about that. Actually, I was asking, that's right.
Yeah, I would agree with Ashley. Most of the time in those cases, the landowners is sued as well as whoever might be operating the land. Each entity, municipal entity has its own insurance coverage to cover any claim on the premises.
It's like a property manager and a town or something. You just go after, it's like a property manager and then the townhome ownership as well. So if there's premises liability alleged, they just name everybody and let the insurance companies fight over who's responsible.
Precisely.
Has anyone been out to see the dock lately?
Mhm.
You need to be torn down?
Yes.
Do we have it secured so that people can't get on it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean.
if kids really want to, they can get on it, but.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, the neighbors had told me that he goes on it. Yes, when I was there a few days ago.
there's some open and obvious, like, do not come out here.
Yeah.
or something.
Yes, there's a, it's the entrance is blocked and it says, they are.
Mhm.
Couple signs actually.
Do y'all know whether if we just tore it down and then immediately rebuild it, is there any sort of OCRM or, any considerations with? Maybe what I mean by example is, I know you can usually rebuild exactly what you got. Is there a temporal restriction, so you gotta like do it right away? Or can we just make it safe and then come back to it later?
Well, let's, Bo, do you have any, did you hear that? You have a opinion on that? I think this is, so this is a question is, there's an existing dock and, we are considering tearing it down. But would it be easier to reconstruct the dock if we let it remain in its current state and only tore it down when we replace it?
If we left the pilings in place, it would be significantly less expensive. But I don't know if the condition of the pilings.
No, I don't mean that the estimate about the cost of reconstructing, actually, the pilings are the core problem with this, at least part of this dock. So that the pilings need to be replaced, or some of them anyway. It's more OCR regulation is our concern.
Oh,
Do you understand?
okay. No,
My question is, do we have to?
OCRM will let you replace a dock. There's no grounds for them to deny a replacement of the dock that I can think of.
But if we
And there's
tear it
no
down,
time, there's no time frame, so we could tear it down tomorrow and let it sit for a year and then build it back the way it was. There wouldn't be any kind of like new, permit required.
There, I'll just jump in because I did speak to engineers about this, because my concern before we even put it in bid, to get them to put a price for the demo was, okay, if we demo it, we ran a chance that OCRM wouldn't let us build something back later. And he said no, he did talk with them. He's had lots of conversations with people in Blair there, and we have to get a different permit regardless, because the permit that's there now is, basically under residential use. And so we will have to get a different type of permit for public use. So that has to be done regardless, but as far as, not being able to put that didn't see any concern with that.
So we could, for example, if we amended this and just demolish the dock to keep it safe, right? And then later, when it seems like people really want to go there, we could build it. There wouldn't be, the time between those activities is not a problem.
It can be. You have to get a permit to remove it, so you just can't demolish it.
Okay.
What you do most of the time is get your permit to demolish and your permit to build a community dock or whatever size you want at the same time. And there is a time limit between when you get your permit and when you must build.
It
I want to
expires.
say it's 5 years, but don't quote me on that. I don't know that by memory.
The permit expires.
The permit will expire after a certain period of time.
Okay.
we get extensions.
I don't know. I just don't know that answer.
My opinion on the ability of us to get a dock for public access is much better than a residential dock. Now, if we try to make the dock bigger or something like that, that might be an issue. But, the new dock, its purpose is to have the public go on and on the dock, as opposed to it's just one private person's dock. It'll be easier time, and then I sort of think that, this is one of those issues where we should be getting our state representatives to be calling us, or obviously our end of the other issues, about getting a public use permit, that's right.
Yeah, and looking at the plat, it also appears that it might not be a bad idea to consider a little bit of a relocation, so that the entrance to the dock is more squarely onto the property of Brantley Park, rather than on the neighbor's property.
So when we, a few months ago, when we came before council to do design for the dock, that was part of the plan, was to change the open dock. We had easements to operate in its current location. So when we went forward with the personal property, we can keep it as is. But as you say, if we have to tear it down, because it's, when you stand on the dock, you can lean islands.
It's not good to leave it off, whatever.
So we can, we have the part that goes out to the part sitting out closer to the middle of the creek. That has to be changed anyway. And so moving it somewhere seemed like a good idea. And I hope to look into that, and actually, contrary to, this city, Carroll Jackson anyway, was open to asking for money to build a new dock, so that may happen. So it's not impossible, the city contribute.
Yeah, I have one other question about the design of this, and it has to do with the surfaces for the parking area. Are those going to be impervious surfaces in the parking spaces there?
No, and it's because they're on streets. So to save as much room space as possible, they're on street parking.
So these are on the street and they can't be gravel?
My understanding was the main concern was the ditch would be piped. Okay, so there's a ditch along the road, and the ditch will be piped, and just having a gravel parking, which is actually my first preference, that is not effective, that will cause the pipe to break, basically. So that'd be the issue, that how deep the pipe will be and how strong the paving is was an issue. I believe that's how it's explained to me. And, so the alternatives of having several parking spaces interior to the lot, as opposed to parallel parking along the street, would take up more of the green space. So this is sort of trying to minimize that.
It's not far from the CNT lot, it's one walk away.
I have a question. So with the parallel parking that's going to be on the street, how much does that encroach onto Brantley Drive itself? Is it going to narrow that neck of Brantley Drive? Or it's going to be like on the shoulder?
If there is, more on the shoulder, there is we already have a DOT permit, so it is within, there's enough road travel lanes.
No, it's the people cars won't be parking on the existing traffic lane. It's not gonna, the cars aren't gonna be on the existing current street.
Right.
It'll be on the right way, which is the DOT right way. And the ditch is a DOT ditch. Anyway, to put the parking there, if we were to put the parking on the other side of the ditch, the parking on the other side of the ditch, we would take out some shrubs and trees, some azaleas that are right there. And we don't want to do that, and so we want to put it on where the ditch is, basically. And then they said that with this piping the ditch and putting the parking over the ditch, given the depth there, we don't get like dig it deeper, if we keep the depth the same, that it was not feasible to just have it gravel or some other kind of pervious solution.
But you make pervious cement as well, it's just a little bit pricier.
Well, that's something we can consider that as like or pervious It's not, really- I don't think they're gonna make us cement, maybe they are.
They do have
But,
previous concrete council.
Mhm.
But I was, Ben Drive, Ben Road. So let's, look into using pervious.
Actually, did you find that about the neighbors drive speed humps?
Mhm.
When we talked to that gentleman,
Mhm.
he was talking about the fact that asphalt and concrete don't mix, just a comment to throw out there. It's like, because they don't work well together. That's what I remember. So I don't know, maybe if there's a pervious asphalt of some sort.
That's what,
Yeah.
so the sidewalks along
Seaside.
the seaside are pervious asphalt and, so I'll tell you the problem with the pervious is the depth. Generally, but anyway, we consider pervious pavement, on White House Point. There were issues about, we look at the sidewalk, that, how deep would have to go, the roots and things like that. But anyway, we can look into that. We come back, we can, that's, alternative.
May I make a motion?
So, well, yes, of course, we're in discussion, it would be like a minute, right?
Or motion to defer. So I was gonna make a motion to defer.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, so, I think that we should begin to move forward. I'm really looking forward to the groundbreaking. We were hoping that, the Rethink Follow Road annual, project will be, annual event will be combined with, the groundbreaking for this project, which is really part of our effort to, revitalize, Follow Road. And also, we were hoping that it would be tied in with a, grand opening for Utica. And so I think it's important to move forward. We have a very good bid price, below budget. And, so if we defer this, we will run into the time when they can, we'll have to rebid it. So I don't support it.
I would make the motion because there's a lot of questions about this. It's probably our fault, for not asking these questions earlier. I've never really been in favor of spending any money on that before, but the idea of a dock in a park in James Island is appealing to me, but I would definitely, before wanting this, even the low bid being at $151,000, which I know for dock work, all that stuff is pretty low. But for a small town fund, it's a lot of our funds, so that's why I make that motion, just to maybe flesh out some of these ideas about permeable surfaces, positioning of things, and maybe to warm up to the ideas.
And maybe get city buy-in on some of it too.
Could be. And what I'm not clear on is just how it's all gonna, with the Rethink Folly Road project, how it's going to tie in, because right now, I don't see anybody using it. It could be like the Field of Dreams, where, if it's nice and it's convenient, people will start using it later, but I don't know anybody right now who's clamoring to go to Brandon Park.
Well, we actually have citizens that live in Centerville that, are very anxious for this park to open up.
That may be true, I just haven't heard.
So I know, okay, and we aren't proposing to build a dock. We did, in request of council concern, added this, demolition of the existing dock to the proposal. If that is really the issue, we could postpone them demolishing the dock and move forward with this, work to, begin this park and make it something other than a vacant lot and make it something nice. And,
So that would be the parking and what other components?
so if you look at the map, there's like a trail along the.
See, I don't know that it would be wise to make it inviting for more people to come there if there's an unsafe dock remaining.
Are there sidewalks connecting Centerville to Brandon Park? Or were they have to drive?
So, with phase one of, Fly Road is about opening sidewalks in front of us. From,
But there aren't any sidewalks.
Not yet.
not yet,
Right?
on Fly Road. there's no sidewalks.
I'm just checking.
Yeah, I think we do need to have the demolition of the dock as a priority, because we want to take safety seriously with this. And I can see a definite need to do that before anything.
I mean, can we not, I realize right now the motion to defer is still out there, but while we're, discussing that, can we not just knock down the dock, get permits and sit on them, and then do the parking and the other stuff also?
Yes, we can knock down the arm and do the parking and other stuff also, that would be possible. That would be cost about $150,000. And so to do that, would seem to me, what we would do is vote down the motion to defer and vote to approve.
What if we just use the PRD grant money to demolish the dock and wait on the rest?
It's obviously really involved. $5,000. As long as we get a pop it 4x8 wall, that's about it.
I thought you just said that the dock demolition was 5,000. Is that not right?
No, I said that the grant money was for phase one, which included.
Okay, how much is the dock demolition just by itself?
So, no, it's on the ad alternate, the low bid listed as 10,000. However, they may not do it, if they don't get the other work, they may not do it for 10,000.
So they didn't bid on doing the dock on its own, $20,000. They basically said that if, they get the contract for $141,000 to implement the plan, the design that was presented to council, approved by council. Then, they would also put additional $10,000 on the dock, that's what they're saying. So, then on the dock would be separate.
We put $100,000 into that subway lot, and now it's not gonna be, from what I can tell, any part of what, it's not gonna be on the Rethink Folly Road hub, or anything. It's just gonna be a private business there. And so I'm just really hesitant to keep throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars at Folly Road before there's sidewalks, before there's any kind of comprehensive some sort of plan from the other governments along the way. I do think the dock needs to be secured. It sounds really dangerous. But building another one and doing all this other stuff to make it a park that I hear what you're saying, that people in Centerville want to go, and I keep looking at it on the map and what it is around. I just don't see it. I think we should defer this, learn a little bit more about it, at least try to get the dock going down and kind of put a lid on the safety aspect of it. Yeah, just what you said.
So is there further discussion?
I think I'm
Yes.
asking this question, I should ask it 10 minutes ago, but how much of the, when we bought the land, how much is the percentage of our contribution, how much is the percentage of the city contribution?
It's about 55 for us and 45 for them, I believe, is that correct, Ashley?
Oh, okay.
And on the same year, they also spent about, how much?
$6 million for a project on James Island, in Riverland Terrace. And so, the city has committed a huge portion of their Greenbelt funds to James Island, though not Folly Road. We had much more limited funds, and this parcel became available. And we did not have sufficient funds to pay for it entirely, and we asked that the city would contribute.